96. Right at the hub, lost like 90 bricks. We ain't gonna speak on that though. Shout out Hood Music for the vibes. Appreciate that though. Yeah. Indisputable rhyme shit. The Lord be plaguing my mind with, make me redefine shit and contemplate where the time went. I see the signs quick, why they need me to sign this? I read the fine print, evil wit is designed with. I peep the nonsense as it sits on my conscience. When the anger starts increasing, roll a spliff, let the dawn sip. I done trip like Godspeed. I fought greed this longest, just not me. I don't need the long list of people faking like they love me just to be around. Man, they build you up so high you hardly see the ground. If you fall, you barely have someone to keep around. It's a circle, so it keep around. And that's right, you guessed it. You could create your own. You get you some dough, go ahead and invest it. Once the seed has been sown, sit back, let it grow. That part is the blessing, my nigga, just leave it alone. So many have it, but can't see till it's gone. Peak, that's what we see. All that we sow, that's what we reap. Ooh. All that we give, all that we keep. All for the peak, that's all we see. The peak, yeah, that's what we see. All that we sow, yeah, that's what we reap. All that we give, yeah, all that we keep. All for the peak, that's what we see. Yeah, peak.
Gotta get into protecting your energy, learning your real enemies, neglecting your enemy. I've seen it all from different perspectives, and when truth is in question, tendencies are deflecting. I can't respect it. Fuck the past, you gotta give. It's all about the present. Since God gave, you gotta give. What was you respecting? They exercise rights, then take truth and stretch it. Type of shit they pull when they flexing a lesson. But in despite of these spiteful things, it's Christmas time, we gotta light up trees. Niggas a trick, treat of the bags like it's Halloween. We have to acknowledge things. You're not a queen till you got a king. Shit, let them sleep, you still got a dream. Cash rules everything around me and make a cream. And when it's no longer real, who you gon' make believe? All in your face, making it up like it's Maybelline. Shit.
What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing? What's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Jessica. This is episode number 7 of Tell Me More. I'm so glad to be here. Y'all are not going to believe this. I actually recorded this several days ago. Somehow or another, I ended up deleting the recording. It was like 4 a.m. So maybe that had something to do with it, but I deleted the recording by mistake. And so I ended up having to come back on and re-record, but it's all good. It's all good because I was able to squeeze out another video. Me and my husband did a video together. Actually, he was going to be on Tell Me More episode 7, which is the one that you're watching right now. But because that happened, we recorded it separately. So instead of that being the deep dive for this episode, I'm just going to talk about something different. So if y'all haven't already checked that video out, please do. My hubby is joining me and we're talking about J. Cole's interview with Cameron. And speaking of my hubby, that was him on the track that you just heard, The Peak, D Horton featuring T-Lo the Champ. T-Lo the Champ is my hubby Wubs. Y'all stream the song, okay? Stream the song, support your local artists. They represent the SIP. So, we need to be putting them out there because we have so much talent here. But anyway, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. I feel like I'm saying this every episode, but there is so much to cover. It is so much going on and it's hard to keep up. I tell y'all, I slow walk my content. I purposely take my time because I want to be factual when I come and speak. I want to have a well-formed opinion and I just like to, be credible. I take content creation very seriously. I think it does come with responsibility to a certain extent. And I just want to make sure that I'm always telling y'all things that are valuable and, having important conversations. With that said, if you support that and support my content, I would like to encourage you to sign up for Patreon. I say this every show. There is a free option. You do not have to pay, although your payment would be greatly appreciated because it costs lots of money to make content, believe it or not. When you do it at a certain level, it does. As you can see, I have software going on. We got visuals, we got music. That costs money. So if you appreciate that and want to support it on a monthly basis, sign up for our paid membership. It's only $3 a month. But like I said, there is a free membership available. If you want to support the show one time, you can leave me a tip. In the description box, you'll see the link for you to do that. But the reason why I am promoting Patreon so heavy, number one, I want to be able to connect with my YouTube audience outside of YouTube. I'm not super active on other social media platforms. I'm focusing on YouTube this year. YouTube has such a wide reach. You know, I never know who might come on this video, and I want to be able to connect with y'all in the event that something happens to my channel or that the platform, you know, doesn't exist anymore. You know, hopefully that doesn't happen, but I want to still be able to connect with y'all. And I think the easiest way to do that and still have that community feel is through Patreon. So if you want to stay connected with me or just have that extra layer of connection, please sign up. Also, the last full show of Tell Me More, which is what you're watching, is going to be on April 20th. And what I mean by that is this full recording. If you're watching this video, you're watching the full replay. This is going to move to Patreon on April 20th as a benefit for those who have signed up, whether you are a free member or a paid member. You will get to see the full show every week. YouTube is going to be clips only. That is starting the week of April 20th. And I'm doing that because I want to grow my membership. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm giving some good exclusive content. And this is just one of many things that will be there for my members. So yeah, sign up for Patreon. Today is March 31st, Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Like I said, this is episode 7 of Tell Me More. And the reason why I say the date and I do all of those things is because I want you to be able to track these updates and track these stories. And if something sparks, you'll remember the time of year. So it just makes it easier. And it makes me feel like I'm really doing something, y'all, because this is episode 7. Can I believe it? I don't think I've ever put out 7 consistent episodes of anything, and I'm trying to work on my consistency and discipline. So all this is connected, y'all. This is just a really big moment for me. Even though I barely cracked 200 views, I'm just happy to be here and to be doing something that I said I was going to do because I truly struggle with the follow through. But enough of me yapping. It's almost been 9 minutes. Enough of me yapping. Let's get into these topics. I want to kick it off with this Army enlistment age update. Now, this story is about a week old at this point, but that's okay because it's still relevant. It's still important, especially because the U.S. is still at war with Iran and it is not looking good. We said that last episode. It is not looking good. On one hand, it doesn't make any sense, but on the other hand, it does. I do believe that the powers that be are trying to create a critical mass of fear and just despair. Everybody's talking about how much stuff costs and everybody's worried about the future and AI, and now we have war, and everywhere you look there's this huge issue that's super consequential for humanity. Never mind being an American or being Black. We are dealing with things that's going to affect humanity. And so as a parent, I like to stay on top of those things. And this Army enlistment age update is just another thing to be looking at or thinking about, because I believe that there may really be some things coming up with the Army. A couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, I also talked about this in a previous episode. Donald Trump's press secretary was doing an interview with Fox News, and she answered a question about the draft, about there being another draft, a military draft being reinstated. And she did not directly address with a yes or a no. She said that Donald Trump was exploring all of his options. Now, we know that there is a process for reinstituting the draft. It's not something that he could just say, I'm going to do it and it happens tomorrow. It's not going to work like that. However, I do think we need to be staying on top of this, especially in light of the fact that the U.S. is not doing well in this war. So it's just things to think about. Now, when I first heard this story, I thought that this was a bigger deal than it is. But the reason why I do think it's important is because it's a change that we're seeing. And when you see pieces start to move, you just got to pay attention. So let's get in the story. It's coming from Task and Purpose. And like I say, every week, the sources are in the description box. I believe in being on the same page. I hate the paywall of news now. I understand why a lot of news is behind paywalls, but we all need access to information. I am big on accessibility when it comes to information. So I want to talk about things and allow you to have an opportunity to go read it for yourself. So all of the things that I'm discussing, every video, every article is going to be in the description box. It's also on Patreon, which is an easier way to go through everything. But if you are interested in reading these stories or watching these videos in full, look in the description box. So let's get into it. It reads, and this was published on March 24th on Task and Purpose. It says the Army raises enlistment age to 42, eases marijuana restrictions. So there was a other part of this that kind of caught my eye, that now they were going to be letting people in that had some marijuana usage or possibly even minor convictions. New recruiting rules bump the age limit for recruits from 35 to 42. Easing restrictions on a single marijuana possession conviction accounts for changes in society, one expert says. So they are framing this change as a response to how society has changed, because we know that marijuana has been legalized recreationally in several states, and people can go to these dispensaries and get their little fix if they want to. So it goes on to say a major update to Army recruiting regulations this week raises the maximum age a recruit can join to 42 and removes a barrier to joining for recruits with a single legal conviction for marijuana or drug paraphernalia possession. The Army's previous limit was 35, though exceptions are occasionally made. The higher age limit brings the Army in line with other services limits of 41 in the Navy and 42 in the Air Force and Space Force. Kosminski said the change has positives and negatives. According to a report she authored for the RAND Corporation, many older recruits scored higher on enlistment qualification tests than recruits who joined before 20. Those older recruits were also more likely to re-enlist and be promoted than their younger peers. However, older recruits were also less likely to graduate from basic training and had higher attrition rates. The older enlistment cap is the latest in the military's multi-billion-dollar overhaul of recruiting, launched after years of missed recruiting goals. So we know people over time have lost interest in joining the military, and a lot of that has to do with folks just waking up and seeing the real of living in America, fighting these endless wars. It's just a lot of things that's going into a lack of interest in the military. Many people don't want to die. People don't want to sign up to potentially die for, it's just not as popular as it used to be. A lot of folks just don't want to join the Army. So this is a string of, as the article said, multiple recruiting tactics that they're trying now because they are not meeting these recruitment goals. The changes also reflect an evolving Army workforce with more education and job skills. The services goal in 2024, the services goal was to have 1/3 of the entire force to hold college degrees. For officers, the service has expanded its direct commissioning program for professionals who have worked in the tech sector for a few years and have expertise in artificial intelligence and space in order to help bolster the Army's technical knowledge across its formation. So they are also targeting different skill sets to match the time. So, I mean, it does seem in line with society, and I guess that the change should possibly happen, but it does have positive and negatives, like it said. But I think ultimately it's still a fishy story, even though at the surface it seems like a earnest attempt to recruit more people for the military, but the timing is suspicious, being that we are currently at war and not doing well. I think they are wanting to accept as many people as they can to further their cause. But I do want to pivot. Y'all know my girl, Savvy Sabs. Savvy Sabs always comes with the good commentary. She recently made a video talking about the Iran war and showing how the U.S. is not doing well. And there's actually some interesting things coming out of Israel allegedly involving this war. So let's watch this video and we'll talk about it. We'll watch a little bit of it and then we'll talk about it.
The mayor of Israel came forward and is begging Benjamin Netanyahu to end this war. Check it out for yourself, folks. Ethan Levin, shout out to him for this post. Israeli mayor breaks down and begs for Netanyahu to stop the war. Things are much worse in Israel than we ever thought. I told you guys. They don't want you to know this. I'll have to read this with you here.
כמה סיבובים! אנחנו נלחמים על הבית! אנחנו עושים כל מה שאנחנו יכולים פה!
He said, we're fighting for our home. We're fighting for everything we have here.
אבל אין פה מדינה אחריך! בשביל להצליח אתה צריך מדינה!
He said, there is no state behind you here. To succeed, you need a state. You cannot do it alone.
אי אפשר לבד! גמרתם את קריית שמונה!
You finished Misgav Am. You finished Toshiba. You finished Gadar. You finished everything.
גמרתם את יישובי הגדר! גמרתם הכל! גמרתם הכל כבר!
You've already finished everything, he said.
מה אתם עושים? מה אתם...
So I don't know if he's referring to areas in Israel or if this is some places in Iran. I'll have to look that up, and I encourage you to look it up too, because that'll put the video more in context. But basically, he's begging for them to put an end to the war. Like, they are not doing well. And I want to put a pin there and talk about the reports that we're getting about these, because I don't believe that we're getting the full story, which we know we're not getting the full story, but I think it may be worse than we think. And this man is making me think about that, because the numbers that we're getting isn't matching what the story and the narrative is. But I'm going to continue with the video.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Lord of the universe, what are you doing? And see, this part of the problem, they look at Benjamin Netanyahu like he's some Jesus figure, some savior, Lord of the universe.
I don't think that he's saying Benjamin Netanyahu is Lord of the universe. I mean, he could be. I can't rule it out, obviously. But that could also mean, like, what are you doing? Like, Lord, what you doing? You know, black people will say, Lord, what's going on? Like, what's going on, Lord? Help me, Lord. Tell me, Lord. You know, so it could be their way of saying it, not necessarily that they're calling their prime minister Lord. That's just my 2 cents on it.
מה אתם עושים? או שתגידו שאתם לא מסוגלים לטפל באירוע הזה.
Either admit that you are incapable of dealing with the situation and release us,
ושחררו אותנו, או שתעשו מה שצריך כבר, ריבונו של...
or do what needs to be done already, Lord of the universe.
עולם! כמה...
When I saw that Lord of the Universe thing, it made me think about He-Man. You know, the Grayscale He-Man. I have the power of Grayscale.
Sabby is so corny. Oh my gosh, she's so corny. But I like her reporting. I want to just go back to what I said earlier about putting a pin in those numbers. So we're getting the narrative that the war is going well. Like, there's been these conflicting reports from Donald Trump. Like, he's really trying to hold to this narrative that the war is going well, that the U.S. is on top, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But the numbers are just not matching that. Well, I'm not going to say the numbers aren't matching it. From what we just saw with this mayor of Israel crying out about it, asking that it be stopped, that isn't matching what we're seeing. And so I just looked up while that was playing the casualties of the war so far, and this is the AI mode of Google. It says, as of late March 2026, the U.S.-Israel military campaign against Iran beginning February 28th, 2026, has resulted in thousands of casualties, with reports indicating over 1,900 to 3,400 or more fatalities in Iran, thousands wounded, and significant infrastructure damage. Now, if you go to the key casualty figures as of today, March 31st, 2026, it is saying that Iran is estimated to have between 1,900 to 3,400 plus killed, with over 20 to 25,000 injured, and civilian deaths exceed 1,000, which is that is awful. The U.S. military, this is where it gets funny. The U.S. military is confirming at least 13 to 15 personnel. What is with the roundabout? Like 13 to 15, shouldn't you know exactly how many people were confirmed dead? Or is it like somebody may be missing and you haven't found a body part? Or how does it, if you know, like, how does it work for them to count the dead? Like, is somebody going in there and counting? Or are you just assuming? Like, what I'm interested in knowing how they come up with these numbers. And then it's saying over 19 to 28 civilians and soldiers killed, with thousands injured in Israel. Now, that is not matching up with the way that the mayor was just begging. You know, you maybe the injuries, but you would think that there'd be more fatalities based on how he is responding in this news report. So that is fishy to me. When you add to the fact that there is this enlistment age going up, the press secretary was being vague about there being a potential reinstatement of the drafts and Trump acting deranged. It's a lot going on with this war, y'all. And it doesn't just affect us from a military point of view. It comes down to us as individual Americans, our families. It is going to have an impact on our pockets. We are already seeing the gas going up. I think it's at the highest it's been since 2022. Iran is not backing down. There was like talk from Trump that he was going to do this peace deal, and they're like, we don't care about your deal. We ain't reading it. Like, they're not backing down. And you got to think about it. If America has had this reputation of being this strong military force, like, they take down who they want. They walk around the world, not literally, but you know, America is like the guardian of the world and everybody got to listen to America. And now we find ourselves in this conflict that a lot of people are saying was started because the e-files dropped, and that was to dead the conversation on that. So we're in this war. The economy's bad. It's so many things that the administration could be focusing on that Americans actually are begging for them to focus on, not just at the federal level. You see it in the states and definitely at the local level. There's a lot going on that we could be worried about other than fighting a war that we are losing. So you got to think from Iran's perspective, America is this power. We are taking down this power. We've been prepared for this. We've been waiting on this moment. They are not going to stop. And so you got to look at that's going to change our lives in one way or the other. Now, the other side of this, like I mentioned, the conspiracy that this war was started because of the e-files dropping and there being this awakening happening. Everywhere you look, people are talking about Israel. The public support of Israel has gone down. You have the Charlie Kirk situation where Israel is in that, and it's just a lot going on with Israel. People are waking up to that and seeing how much influence they have on American government. People are not okay with that. There's a lot going on, and I can't help but think about this from a spiritual perspective, that there is more going on here. Now, a month or so ago, maybe a month and a half, I was really like scared. I was really in my feelings about this. I had a lot of anxiety because I'm looking at this like, oh, this is biblical prophecy. And, I was just reading about the day of the Lord and, the second coming of Christ. And so I was feeling super like anxious and just feeling like the walls are closing in. I'm thinking about sermons that I've heard, and it's just been a lot to take in and try to figure out what's going on. And I've found in my life, when things don't make sense, the only thing that makes sense is that it is spiritual, because things happen spiritually first. And I think America and society overall, in countries around the world, there is a dividing line being made. Like there's a divide. And I feel like personally it began during the COVID pandemic. If you like me, you started paying attention to things differently. You started coming into new information. You started pulling the covers off of stuff, and you're seeing that this stuff is not really what it seems like. And it just there has to be something spiritual at play. Now, my anxiety has calmed down a lot because I do realize that no man knows the day or the hour. We are supposed to watch, but there are certain things that we have to see before the end. And I think that this is part of the play to create that chaos, because nothing else makes sense. It hasn't, Donald Trump, nothing he's done since he's gotten office this second time has made sense. He's not even the president that he was before. And in the beginning, like when he started to have his campaign again, he had the advantage because Joe Biden was just doing such a horrible job. And you saw during that period of time, the Black demographic especially really start to turn away from the Democrats. So Trump, people are looking at him like he may be what he was before, and they felt like, oh, we can deal with that. But it's just been so interesting to me to see how he's betraying his base. And I'm like, this man played them the whole time. Like, I feel like I'm watching from afar. Like, he's not like, this is something else going on here. This is, he got in on that, but it's something else going on with this man. And maybe it is the stuff that's in the Epstein files, but I can't help but believe that all of this is part of a greater plan to set up a new system in the world. And they have been telling us this for years. And the reason why I brought up the pandemic is because that's when I really came to know a lot of the things that I know now that helped me to look at news stories and look at information from a different point of view. Because now I'm learning about the World Economic Forum. You go out here and ask anybody that you know, the first 5 people you see, ask them about the World Economic Forum and the role that they play in what we see here in America. They're not going to be able to tell you anything. As a matter of fact, I was in a hair store today and I heard these 2 older Black women talking about Donald Trump trying to get us to be slaves again. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. They missing the whole play. Like, we are so just not aware of what is really going on. And so this is, to me, an indication that something could possibly be coming down the pipeline with the army, but also the push for this war and the push for troops to go and basically face their death, because Iran is saying we're waiting on them. I saw that today. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So there has to be something else at play. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this story. If you know anyone that's in the military that's being deployed, I saw a story with a Black couple, their son had died over there in the war. People don't want this. People do not want this. And it just feels like, I just don't like the fact that these so-called elites and just a small number of people have my life in their hands, like feeling like they can just do what they want to do with our lives. Like, that is a problem for me. And it makes you look at your politicians, the politicians here in Mississippi, and in other states. Like, what are y'all doing? How are y'all just like, y'all can't do nothing? You know, and that's the irritating thing about the Democrats, that a lot of black people, like folks are criticizing black folks for their support of Republican or conservative policies. And y'all don't even see what the other side is doing because you just think Donald Trump is trying to make you a slave again. Like, really? It's some real stuff going on. And I just don't, I don't know. It's a lot going on here, but I feel like our local politicians, our state politicians need to be held accountable, especially Democrats, because y'all use this man every election cycle to bring people out to vote for you, and then you do nothing. You know you can work while you're not the party in control. Like, just because Donald Trump is president does not mean you stop fighting for your constituents, for the federal issues and the state and local issues. Like, I just don't understand how it's just like he's driving this train and it's about to derail and nobody's trying to take the reins. Like, what is going on here? But gonna stop there and move on to our next topic. Have y'all seen the stuff that your boy Zuckerberg is going through with his company? So there were some pretty landmark social media lawsuits that had some verdicts last week. Meta and YouTube both were involved in these lawsuits, and Meta is losing big in the courtroom because this was the second one that they lost. But the first lawsuit of its kind to actually go to trial, in that Meta and YouTube were being sued and found liable for user addiction, which this is interesting. I have some thoughts about this too, and what I'm seeing online, people are they're kind of thinking like me. Like, I'm seeing a lot of comments about the role of the parents in this situation, because the person that sued Meta was a young woman. I think she was 20, but we're about to get into this story from NBC News about it so that we're all, on the same page.
The landmark case addressing the power and influence of social media. A Los Angeles jury today finding Meta and YouTube negligent in the design or operation of their platforms, and saying the companies failed to warn users of the dangers of their services.
Now, this is interesting. This is very interesting. You heard it. Meta and YouTube are found liable in the design of their platforms, basically saying, you know, that your platforms are designed for people to be addicted because there's the endless scrolling. There is this and this. I don't know the specific details. I'll look up an article. I'm gonna go back to the video while the video plays. I'll look up the article. But you know, y'all are liable for this, and it causes addiction, and you didn't tell anybody that it does. And I want to call BS on that. I think there's been an overwhelming number of studies done on social media and addiction. I think that's why TikTok rolled out the take a break thing. I remember when I had TikTok that I would see that at 10 minutes, I believe. I don't know if that's something that I set up, but it was an in-app notification. It wasn't an Apple notification. It was an actual TikTok notification that I received while I was on it. So I don't know if TikTok kind of got the memo, like, ooh, we need to let people know. But I feel like it's a known fact that social media is meant to be addicting. I think everybody knows that, because if we're talking about young children, social media hasn't been around long enough for young children to know, but their parents know. So I feel I'm not necessarily feeling that they should be sued for this. Maybe the platforms should have to change the way they're designed, but if this person can sue for it causing them addiction, as if they couldn't turn off their phone, I don't know. It's just like, are you trying to compare social media to like a cigarette or alcohol? And you know, and it's like, if you really care about the addiction of it, why just ban children? Wouldn't it mean that adults wouldn't need to be on it too? So there's a lot of things that we can question with this. But let's get into this actual news report, and then we'll talk more about it.
The jurors found that the tech giant's platforms harmed a young user with features that made her addicted and led to mental health problems. The trial, which included testimony from Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, was the first lawsuit of its kind to go to trial. In separate statements, Meta and Google, YouTube's parent company, saying they disagree with today's verdict and plan to appeal. Today's verdict comes just one day after a jury in New Mexico ordered Meta to pay $375 million after determining that Meta concealed what it knew about child sexual exploitation on its platform.
Okay, now that lawsuit is something different. Yes, for that. They should have to pay for that. But this other one that they caused her to be addicted, I'm kind of on the fence about that. And I feel like it's involving something deeper, but we will keep watching.
Meta says it plans to appeal that verdict as well. Joining me now is Jacob Ward, veteran technology journalist and host of the Rip Current podcast. He's also the author of The Loop, How Technology is Creating a World Without Choice and How to Fight Back. Jacob, thanks so much for joining me. So let's talk about today's big verdict. What was your big takeaway?
So this is really, I mean, for me, it is I get goosebumps as I say it. It is truly a historic moment. I really think that this is on a par with figuring out that cigarettes cause cancer or that we needed to have seatbelts in cars. This is a huge societal shift that we're seeing unfolding in front of us really in real time. And as a result, you know, I think this is the end of social media as we know it, and it is definitely the end of childhood as we have come to accept it.
So that's interesting. The end of social media as we know it and the end of childhood as we know it. Why would this have to do with childhood? Most children are not on social media. As my children are not users of social media. They don't have social media accounts that they are now. I've seen it before and totally disagree. Seen it before, had a big issue with it, not with my child, but I done seen it with a child that was under the age of 9, 10. So there are some people who allow their children to have social media accounts, yes. But I am wondering how this changes childhood. That's interesting. I'm going to let him finish. I was actually going to go over to an article, but I want to hear more about this.
We are seeing for the very first time a social media company found liable, in this case, 2 of them found liable for the design choices they made and for, as a result, addicting kids in a harmful way to their product.
This just doesn't make sense because how is the addiction limited to kids and not to adults as well? If the platforms are causing kids to be addicted, then they would be causing everyone to get addicted. And how don't the parents know this and are held liable for allowing their child to be on it if the protection is only about kids? Do y'all get what I'm saying? Am I making sense? I'm just not seeing how this changes childhood, and it's a problem for childhood because social media isn't designed for kids. Are there advertisements for kid-related products? Yes. And are there kid channels that have social media? Yes. But I wouldn't say that those channels' primary audiences are kids when it comes to like Meta. Now, YouTube, maybe. But again, that I don't see how that wouldn't be a parenting issue or a parenting liability before it is a Meta liability. And if it was a Meta liability first, then what about the adults? So I'm going to pivot here to an article from BBC. This was written and published 5 days ago. Wait, I do want to go back to the comments, but I'll go back to the comments from that video once I'm done with this article. But as you can see, the title, Campaigners Welcome Meta and YouTube's Defeat in Landmark Social Media Addiction Trial. Again, this is from the BBC. Link is in the description box. It reads, parents and campaign groups seeking tighter restrictions on social media have welcomed a Los Angeles jury handing down an unprecedented win for a young woman who sued Meta and YouTube over her childhood addiction to social media. Jurors found that Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, and Google, owner of YouTube, intentionally built addictive social media platforms that harmed the 20-year-old's mental health. The woman, known as Chilli, was awarded $6 million in damages, a result likely to have implications for hundreds of similar cases now winding their way through U.S. courts. Meta and Google said they disagreed with the verdict and intended to appeal. Meta said teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. We will continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online. Now, if you use Meta products, you may have seen over the last several months different things rolling out about teen safety. I saw a campaign. I want to say that was Meta because Carrie from Bell Collective was part of their campaign where they are like having a talk with their kids about social media. So we've been seeing this more and more, especially as all this legislation around kids and being online and age verification is going on. As a matter of fact, recently in Mississippi, maybe that was 2025, it could have been 2024, but I want to say it was 2025, just last year. Mississippi became the first state, I believe, to require that. And I have seen that on my social media before, like something about age verification. So this is something that's been down a pipeline. Like they mentioned, there are hundreds of similar cases winding their way through U.S. courts. But I just feel like if a teen can sue for an addictive design, then that would open the door for adults as well, because addiction is not just limited to kids. And again, if it is, then what about the parents? Are the parents going to be held liable? So I want to continue to read this article from the BBC. It says a spokesperson for Google said, this case misunderstands YouTube, which is a responsibly built streaming platform, not a social media site. So YouTube is saying, hey, we shouldn't even be in this because we ain't social media. Now, they are full of it because YouTube is most definitely, in my opinion, as a social media consultant, I work in marketing and branding communications in real life. In my opinion, YouTube is social media because of the community features, the posting, the being able to respond and make comments and, subscribing. That is the equivalent of following. When you look up, when you're on Peacock or Prime, you are going to add a show to your list, but you're not necessarily seeing everything that got to deal with this show. So YouTube, y'all full of it. It is social media. So continue with the lawsuit. But speaking to BBC Breakfast, Ellen Room, who is herself suing TikTok after the death of her son, said the case was enough moment. How many more children are going to be harmed and potentially die from these platforms? That is insane. That is insane. No disrespect to this mom and condolences for the loss of her son. But you just as a parent can't tell me it's the platform fault when you got control of whether or not your child got a device, whether or not they have an account. Yes, teens are sneaky. Yes, they can do things that parents don't know. I was a teenager and I most definitely had a sneaky phase where I was places where I was not supposed to be that my mom did not know I was at. I found a way to get there. So yes, it does happen that teens disobey their parents and create accounts. However, there is so much you can do before you can take away the device completely. You can monitor it. You can control their email. You can keep up with your teen. Now, will you catch everything? No, but it's just, you can't tell me it's the platform fault. I'm sorry. I disagree. Maybe they do. It's always going to be a parenting thing, number one, for allowing their child to be on there. And number two, maybe if it's like a challenge that's dangerous or something, I don't know. But there's already content procedures and protections in place to report things. And I don't know. I just don't think it's the platform's fault. Her quote continues, "It's been proved it's not safe and social media companies need to fix it." Now, I agree with that. They do need to make some changes, but as far as it being their fault, like they are the reason why children do XYZ, I don't believe that's a strong enough argument. Going back to the lawsuit, it says jurors found that Kaylee should receive $3 million in compensatory damages and an additional $3 million punitive damages because they determined Meta and Google acted with malice, oppression, or fraud in the way the companies operated their platforms. I'm not disagreeing with it. It says Meta will be expected to shoulder 70% of Kaylee's damages award, with Google the remaining 30%. Parents of other children who are not part of Kaylee's lawsuit but claim they also were harmed by social media were outside the courthouse on Wednesday as they had been many days throughout the 5-week trial. This is fishy. Call me a conspiracy theorist. It's fishy to me. I'm sorry. Kaylee, it's always a white woman that look up and get stuff like this. We're the justice for the black folks. We can't get it no kind of way. It's always them. They gonna find a way to get they bag. It says when the verdict came through, parents like Amy Neville were seen celebrating and hugging other parents and supporters who had been waiting for a decision. That's insane to me. Like, that seems a little bit delulu. Again, the lawsuit that happened in New Mexico regarding Meta and the platforms endangering children and exposing them to sexually explicit material, contact with sexual predators. Yes, that's something different. Okay, that's valid. But even when it says contact with sexual predators, so now will there be something where if a person is part of a sex offender registry, will they have to prove that on social media? It all comes down to the whole concept of digital IDs and online verification. That is why I feel like there is something going on with this that is deeper than just children being quote unquote addicted to social media and their parents not being able to stop it, and it somehow being the platform's fault. I just feel like it's something here that's ultimately going to be used against us in some kind of way involving us utilizing our IDs, because the government doesn't care about protecting kids for real. How do we find the time to do something about social media, but not these other things that have existed long before social media? Not saying this isn't important, but if we really cared about children, we would see some evidence of that in other spaces, right? Not just when it comes to social media. What else are you doing to protect children? I can't prove this. This is just a good feeling. This is just how I feel. When I saw it, it was my first thought. And then I saw that I wasn't alone in my thoughts, and we'll get to comments in a second. But I don't know. I feel like this is a play for something else. And either dealing with parental rights, we already know with the digital ID and all of that stuff, there's something going on here. I don't want it to come down to be a thing where the government has control over what a person does with their child, because what about the parents who allow their children to be on social media, but in a responsible way, who share accounts with them, who limit their time there? What about those parents? I don't know. I don't want the government telling me I have to do this or that. I believe as a parent, I am capable of making that decision. Should I be punished for the parents that aren't? This is not necessarily, in my opinion, a life or death thing. It could be, but anything could be. I just feel like this is a slippery slope. This is not the same thing as me saying that these platforms are not guilty, or that they should not be held accountable. And I'm not even saying that children should be on social media. I believe that it's up to the parent. What works for one family may not work for another. That's the case with everything. Social media is no different. I just don't completely trust this. That's all I'm saying. Does anybody feel me that's watching this video? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And I do want to go back to the NBC News video and just see what people are saying. I saw lots of different comments about this from other news stations. So this highly rated comment says, end of social media as we know it. Don't threaten me with a good time. It's always the people on social media talking about getting rid of social media. Like, y'all are crazy. Y'all just want a virtue signal. Like, okay, Brad. Okay. Now, I'm not even like, I think social media has so many negatives. I think it has impacted life, society in every way. And part of that is what really intrigued me to be in the field, because when I was in high school, we only could get on Facebook. Facebook had just hit my senior year, 2006. Facebook had just hit and people were getting on the platform. I remember being in my computer science class, and one of the kids at another school that we knew that was super popular, he got an invitation. So he was inviting all of us. We was waiting on our invitation to be able to get on Facebook. That was the good old days. It was so fun. And so by the time I got to college, undergrad, it had really got popping, because now I'm meeting my classmates. Oh, you're from Chicago. You from Michigan. Oh, you from California. And so it really opened our world in the best way. You know, back then we didn't know what was coming down the pipeline. Social media has evolved more and more every year. Facebook is nothing like it was back then. But I was intrigued by that because I could see it coming as a person that was studying broadcasting. And shout out to Reba Teague. I'm not sure which last name she goes by now, but shout out to her. She was a professor who required us to be on Twitter undergrad. So 2009 is when Twitter hit the scene. And I remember, or 2008, 2009, somewhere around that time, I remember being so annoyed, like, I don't want to do this. What is this? What's the point of this? But seeing where it is now, I became interested in it. And we were talking about, you know, how this could change society. Now businesses are on it and people are using it in place for a website. Now it's affecting the businesses that don't have it. So social media is a beast that has evolved. I do think we have more control over the beast than we realize, especially because it ain't mandatory to be on social media. You can get off of it at any time. Honestly, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you don't have to be here. So I think it's better than AI in that there's not a good in AI that I can see that outweighs the bad. But social media, I do think it has more good than bad. Honestly, there's a lot of bad, but we are able to connect because of social media. And it's not something that I want to be completely done away with. I think it needs to change for the better. I think there should be more protections on it. I'm just not convinced that what we're getting here is the full story when it comes to that. The irony is, I'm watching this on YouTube. When the developers don't let their own children use the software they created, you know something is wrong with them. I don't know. So these are all, you know, different things. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I would be hurt if we lost YouTube. So would I. Imagine if drinking alcohol had no age limit. That's basically what social media is for kids. Somebody said parents. If parents don't realize the danger, they're not going to stop their kids from using it. This is why the analogy to the cigarette verdict was made. Who buys a 12-year-old the phone? You know, so people are feeling different about it. I'm trying to see where the comments were that were not saying all of this. I found some that did. I don't see it anymore. Don't know if it's an algorithm thing. If I was having confirmation bias, I don't know. It's over 8,000 comments. So there are a lot here. Let's see. Let's see. Bring back how iPhones were meant to be. It's about time. Truth is, this is on the parents. The parents don't care that their child was on the platform. They didn't care their child was addicted, if you want to call it that. The parents didn't care to monitor what their child was doing. This is the parents' fault. But you can't let an incident go to waste. So now they get to cash in on their failure as parents. So that means what exactly? I hope so. I hope life goes back to how it was in the 2000s. So they can't stay in business without harming children. Nothing will ever happen. when he came out with Facebook, it was the most beautiful thing ever created. I blame the parents for these kids because they had parental control on phones. So you see, there are a lot of different opinions about it. I would love to know what y'all think about this. Let me know in the comment section. That is a tricky one. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm letting you know right now. If they require us to have IDs uploaded to be on YouTube. YouTube already asks like for new channels, you can like expedite your verification if you have a new channel by uploading your ID. Like that's one of the options. And I forgot, like I may have seen it pop up once before, but my account has been established. But I'm telling y'all now, if I got to upload my ID and as if I'm getting a service at the doctor or something to use social media, I'm not going to be on it. Period. I don't care what I miss out on. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. That'll be the day I'm not on social media anymore, which is why I'm telling y'all to join me on Patreon so you can still stay connected. We don't know what's going to happen. And I'm building up my channel. Just hit 600 subscribers. Shout out to K2 Medley for being my 600 subscriber. So I'm building my account. I want to still be able to connect with y'all in the event it goes away. But that's just my thoughts. If I got to verify and upload my ID, I don't want it. You can have it. It ain't that serious. It's really, really not. Because the thing is, just like with COVID, when you agree and consent to things, you don't get the option to like not do that anymore. Like when you give up a right, you don't get it back. That's not how it works. You don't give up a right and say, oh no, I want my rights back. That's not how it works. That's why I was so against people being happy for Donald Trump getting banned on X. It was Twitter at the time. I remember seeing people just happy. And I'm like, y'all do know they're going to use this against y'all, right? And what happened? Soon as COVID hit, people that didn't agree with the narrative, they snatch your account. You don't have that same right of freedom of speech as you once had because you gave it away when you was happy that your enemy was being punished. And that's why at the end of the day, y'all got to learn how to disagree. We got to learn how to agree to disagree because rights are important. And what is good for one is going to be good for the other when the tables turn because they always turn. So you got to be about the protection of rights, even if it's something that you don't all the way agree with. I'm sorry. That's just the world we live in. Not saying you go practice it, but we all should be trying to protect all the rights that we have because we see what happens when they get taken away. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic. If you are enjoying my video so far, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Now, our next story, OpenAI, which is the company that owns GPT, recently announced that they are shutting down their video platform, Sora. So this was about a week ago, 6 days ago, March 24th. They announced that they were shutting down their video generation platform, Sora, a deal that they struck with Disney in December, which was, 3-4 months ago, which resulted in a $1 billion investment will be dissolved. I wonder if they got to get that money back or was this a money grab? What is going on? NBC News reports on the latest development and what it means. Let's check this story out.
All right, we got some breaking news out of the business world. OpenAI saying it's shutting down its video generation platform, Sora. You see the post here on Sora's X account. Their message to people who used it: what you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. The AI videos, like the ones you see here, have generated some controversy.
The news is actually not disappointing to me. I'm happy. Shut it down. Shut all of it down. I hate AI videos. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate that creators are using it now. Creators that I like. Y'all, we can tell when it's an AI visual. Like the visuals, the thumbnails, the slides, the logos, the openers. We can tell. Please stop it, y'all. Please do not take the shortcut with your creativity. I don't want to like shame you for using it, but everything is starting to look the same. The menus, the fonts, like we can tell that it's an AI generated image. And I don't trust you if you rely heavily on AI generation. If you want to improve your writing, cool. If you want to get an idea, cool. But do not compromise your creativity and your brain power for a machine to tell you everything to do. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And I know how easy it is because you feel like, oh, it's saving me this, and this. And I get it. Use it in special occasions. Use it to improve something you've already developed in your mind first, but don't just let it spit this stuff out and then we get totally desensitized to where originality don't even matter no more. You don't want that type of world. That's why I'm saying to use AI with caution, put boundaries around it so that you can maintain your creativity in that special sauce. Because I'm telling you, like, as soon as I hear an AI voice on a video or an AI voice, AI thumbnail and stuff, I'm less interested. Like, I don't want to see that. Where's your originality? You do lose credibility. So at least don't put it out on Front Street. Don't use the visuals if you can help it. Get there. Get to a point where you can hire a graphic designer or just improve your own skills. But all the thumbnails are starting to look the same, and I hate it.
Critics saying they're a breeding ground for potential copyright infringement or about deep fakes. Brian Chung is joining us now with more.
Yes, that's another thing. The deep fakes are horrible. And just like we saw with Benjamin Netanyahu, they can stir the pot when it comes to conspiracy theories. Now, imagine if your enemy had an AI that was not easily recognizable or that was not being regulated. What could your enemy create if their technology was better than what you have? And they could pull your picture from social media, from the news, a news video, a screenshot. If you happen to be on the news, you could have been in the background of somebody's picture. It could have been a camera because you walked in front of the police camera in a store. It could be on a Ring camera. Nobody's safe. You know, I have this debate about, well, not debate, but a conflict about AI already. I've talked about that before, but also about like my children being on social media is something that I'm constantly back and forth about, because I don't want to move out of fear. But then I'm also telling myself, like, our smart TVs watch us, the webcams, the iPhones, the images are everywhere. Like, once you put a picture out and you send the picture, it's in the like, we're not gonna totally get away from it. So I don't want to like fearmonger and say live in fear. This may be the time for you to get your bag. That's how I look at it. Like, my videos have my face, have me saying a bunch of different words, having a bunch of different looks, my different mannerisms. On one hand, it helps you to know, okay, this is Jessica. This is how she talks. This is what she does. But on the other hand, that could be used to make deepfakes of me. But I can't let that fear stop me from doing something I feel called and led to do. So you have to use your discernment and have your boundaries. That's what I'm trying to say. But I am not disappointed in the slightest, in the least. I'm not disappointed in the least about OpenAI shutting down Sora at all. I'm not disappointed at all.
On this. They just had this $1 billion deal with Disney.
Yeah.
They've actually talked about on the podcast. And now it sounds like they're ending their partnership and they're shutting down their doors.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And what was remarkable about that Disney partnership was that it was only in December.
Yeah.
Sora, as a video generating platform, again, the idea is that it's a text to video. You just kind of type in what you want, and then this AI creates that video for you. It was only over a year old. I think it was released to the public in December of 2024. And now you have OpenAI saying they're shutting this thing down. Now, the OpenAI company does say that they decided to discontinue Sora as they focus and compute demand grows. They say that they want to focus on.
So also people are saying that this could have something to do with the military and how they were in the controversy with the military and everything that they were willing to bend the knee on to Trump and his administration. Someone said if they're shutting it down, it's not for our benefit. Someone said if they got what they needed, now they will use it against everyone. Something scarier is coming. Y'all know those comments always follow AI videos. But yeah, what do y'all think about that? Are you feeling some type of way that Sora was shut down? I'm sure there are other ways to make AI videos if you want to. There are other platforms out there, but this is a big deal because they said the Disney investment and then the controversy around their deal with the military. So yeah, interesting. I guess we're gonna have to keep our eye on this AI stuff. It's something that we gotta be watching as parents and as everyday citizens so that we'll know what we're looking at. More digital literacy, media literacy videos coming soon. They are coming. So if you are interested in it, subscribe to my channel. Those are coming because we got to make sure that we are not being deceived out here. Oh, so this next story, this is an interesting story coming from News Nation, y'all. Have y'all seen the story about the military general who is missing and he has ties to the UFO program? So his name is William Neal McCaslin, and he disappeared a little over 2 weeks ago in New Mexico. Now, a lot of people are saying his disappearance is ironic because not too long before that, he disappeared at the end of February 27th, I think. 26th or 27th. I want to say the 27th. He was reported missing, or that was the last time he was seen. And people are saying, this is a coincidence because we just heard that the UFO files that the government has were going to be released. So people think the timing is suspect that this general, who does go by the name Neal, that Neal would be missing. Now, reports are saying that he left home on foot, but he did not take his phone with him. He didn't take his watch with him. He takes a medication that he did not take with him. And the one thing that they did notice he took with him was his gun. So this is interesting, y'all. This is very interesting. Let's get into this story. This video is from News Nation. News Nation has been doing a lot of coverage on this man and just a lot of UFO coverage in general. Y'all, I can't believe that we in a time period where we really talking openly about UFOs. Now, UFO officially stands for unidentified flying object. However, when you hear UFO, you think aliens. It's been a lot of, oh my goodness, it's been so much alien talk, and we'll get into the conspiracy theory about that, but let's just watch this video to have a baseline for the story.
58-year-old retired Air Force officer has been missing since February 27th in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A silver alert has been issued. Now, that's typically reserved for older missing people, sometimes who have health-related issues. Now, to be clear, this isn't just any missing senior citizen. No. This is Major General William Neal McCaslin, a former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, the organization responsible for advanced military technology and science. He also worked on space systems and special programs at the Pentagon, projects that...
So a lot of people are noting that his military background, just all the things that you know about people in the military or people that have served in the military, how they communicate, how they are punctual with timing, just their mannerisms and things that they do. A lot of people are saying the fact that he has disappeared and under the circumstance in which he's disappeared, the timing, but also the things that he left behind, people think that it's suspect. Like, this doesn't make sense for a military person to behave in this way and there not be, some sort of foul play potentially going on.
Were so classified that many inside the government never even got to see them. And here's where the story really gets strange. The base that he once led, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, is historically linked to Project Blue Book. This is the reported U.S. military's official investigation into UFO sightings. McCaslin once...
Now, Project Blue Book doesn't sound familiar to me, but you know what does? Project Blue Beam. I've never heard of Project Blue Book. Let me look that up. I'm about to look it up right now. Project Blue Beam, though, is crazy. But let's look at Project Blue Book. Okay, this is from Google. Project Blue Book was the U.S. Air Force's official long-running investigation into unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, from 1952 to 1969. Headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, it analyzed over 12,000 reported sightings, concluding most were natural phenomena or conventional aircraft, with 701 remaining officially unidentified. I guess we've seen enough. Maybe there's a little bit more, but basically from what I've seen with this story, Neil's wife is insisting that his disappearance does not have anything to do with his relationship to the UFO stuff. Like, it has nothing to do with the program. And I'm like, in my mind, how can you say that for sure? Like, you don't even know where he is. So how can you know that it don't have nothing to do with that? Unless you know some things that we don't know about his health, in which I would think that it'd be important to share that with the public because people are searching for him. So it's just a lot of things that are not adding up. I did see on another report that officials are saying that he suffered from a brain fog. And so I guess the suggestion is that he may be unsure of where he is, maybe lost. You know how that happens. There is a silver alert out for him. But I want to go to this video by Breaking Points. If you all are familiar with Breaking Points, they shared a video today, I believe. No, this was a day ago. It has over 400,000 views, where they're saying that there are several scientists missing, like 5, that these scientists are all missing as we see drones over U.S. bases. Now, remember, not too long ago, there were reports of drones flying over these cities. I believe this might have been in Illinois or maybe Ohio. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but y'all might remember people were like, what are these drones? What are these drones? And I'm like, how the government ain't done something about that? Y'all, it's so much going on. It's so much. I'm trying my best to keep up and keep everybody informed because I feel like this stuff is important. It does take a toll on my mental, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to get myself a process, a prayer. Like, I'm really working on protecting myself and my mind as I talk about these stories and research them. But that's crazy that while these drones are circulating, while the drones are circling cities and over U.S. military bases, the scientists go missing. And people are like, well, we are at war. That is not uncommon that people, scientists go missing. That's what an enemy that's a threat would want to do. So it's not far-fetched. The drones over the military bases, it could be war-related, but the fact that these scientists are tied to UFO programs is interesting on the heels of the announcement about the files being released. I also want to point out that we are seeing these meteors. These meteors are all over the country. They're not just, I previously reported that they were in the Northeast, like the Pennsylvania area. Well, I'm seeing that they were even found in Houston, that some had crashed in Houston. And I'm like, okay, if this is rare, how is it so rare that when it does happen, it happens across multiple days across the whole country? That's probably not a meteor. That's probably something else. Now, what the something else could be, I don't know. And on top of that, I saw just today, right before I came on to record, that NASA is about to make another trip to space. Artemis 2, I believe. I'm going to have to look in it and cover it. So we see all this stuff going on with the military and space and meteors and UFO generals are missing. Y'all, something's going on. I don't know what it is. I can't prove it. But this is weird. Super, super weird. But I want to just briefly show a little bit of this Breaking Points video because they shared that these 5 scientists that are missing, they all have these connection and links, but one of the connections is a woman. So let's see what that is about.
Didn't want to keep our eye off of a very strange story that's happening here on U.S. soil. We have multiple missing scientists. We have mysterious drone swarms over U.S. bases. We have a few congressmen which are asking big questions about this. One of them is Representative Eric Burlison, and here is what he had to say.
General McCaslin apparently walked out of his home, left all of his devices, and never came back. And Monica Reza, she was on a hike as well and mysteriously disappeared. And I've heard of others. We've already sent a letter. When I first came in, I heard of another gentleman, and I'll keep that name to
Sure.
Out of respect. I sent a letter to the FBI investigating the suspicious.
He giving a little AI. His face so smooth. That's another thing. If y'all use these software video calls and stuff, don't use the facial enhancement feature because it makes your videos look like AI.
Suicide of another individual who had worked alongside, other whistleblowers like David Grush and Jake Barber who had come forward. So their colleague is mysteriously committed suicide. We've already sent the letter to the FBI to investigate that, and that is an ongoing investigation.
So to catch everybody up, on top of this drone story, we have all these missing scientists, right? And now let's put this one up here on the screen. This is E2. This was a married mother who vanished last year, could potentially have actually been tied to these missing and dead U.S. scientists. This fills in some of the gaps that Representative Burlison was saying. Big picture, for those who haven't tuned into the story at all, we have about 5 missing scientists all across the nation. NASA engineers, major figures at the Air Force Research Laboratory. Many of them were actually overseeing like futuristic metal for rocket engines in terms of their projects. One of them, obviously, is this retired General William McCaslin. Now, his, disappearance is really strange because we had previous incidents involving Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and the tying of all of these things together has had a lot of people in the UFO community really concerned about like what exactly is happening here. We were talking, your mind immediately starts to go to like 3 Body Problem, if you've ever read that book. But look, I don't know how crazy that is because now we're also in a time of war. And in that time of war, what we've actually seen are all of these drones that have just been hovering apparently over a U.S. Air Force base. Can we skip ahead to E5?
So it's a lot going on with this story, y'all. We gotta, y'all. Part of it is like, I was talking to my husband and his friend K2 last night, and we were talking about it, and he was like, what can we do at the end? Like, it's nothing we can do. And on one hand, there is nothing we can do, but I do think we can be prepared mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. That's why I'm like, look, I need to lose about 40 pounds. Like, I need to get myself in better shape. I need to just make some lifestyle changes. I need to pull away from online. I need to get my books. I need to get our documentation. I just feel like we need to get our houses in order for whatever. We are living in historical times. As a millennial, like, I've lived it through so many things. I was in the 8th grade when the Twin Towers were crashed into, and they collapsed. I remember going to school. I used to go to a performing arts school in the morning, and then we leave and go to our regular school. And I remember walking through the door, and the security guard was like, some crazy stuff happened on the news. And we go in the classroom, and it's on the TV. Back in the day, they used to have the TVs hanging from the ceiling in the classrooms. And so 9/11 happened during that time. And I just feel like, as a millennial, I've lived through so much that now as an adult, it's like the stakes are getting higher and higher and higher. I just feel like I need to be as prepared as possible. What would you or should you do in a situation with war? What did they do in history that we can learn from? I just feel like we're in those times, and I want to bring up Project Bluebeam. Now, they're talking about Project Blue Book. Project Bluebeam is different from Project Blue Book. I first learned about Project Bluebeam around the pandemic. I'm telling y'all, go back and look at some of my videos. I've never talked about Project Bluebeam, but I did share my spiritual journey. All of this stuff was happening to me at the same time. That's why I know God chose me for all the things that I have been through. Like it was for a purpose, and it meant some things. It meant something. But I learned about Project Bluebeam back in that time around the pandemic time. I can't remember if I learned about it from watching Pastor Darby's sermons or if I saw it in a conspiracy theory thread. I don't know where I saw it at, but basically Project Bluebeam, the gist of it is that all of the nations, the countries have conspired for an alien invasion that will be fake, right? And I'm probably not explaining this right. But if you are watching this video and you're familiar with it, help me out in the comments. But I'm not saying that I believe in this. What I'm saying is I think it's interesting that when that theory has been floating around for a long time. I'm pretty sure the Y-Files has a video on it, if you've never heard of it. But it's been floating around for the longest, but it did kind of ramp up around the pandemic time because everybody's like looking at this. This was like the moment that so many preppers were waiting for, so many religious people, like your woke, conscious people. So many people had been like waiting for this thing, and it turned out for them that COVID-19 was that thing. And so, of course, all of the other conspiracy theories start being popularized again. And Project Bluebeam was one of them, where I think one of the presidents, I want to say it was Reagan. I'm feeling Reagan or Nixon. I don't know. One of the presidents, you could probably look up the quote, but there was a saying about the only thing like unifying the world would be an alien invasion. Like if you wanted all of your enemies and everybody to work together or whatever, it was something like that, you would have to do an alien invasion. Like that would be the trick. And so from there, like they've been plotting this alien invasion that's going to be fake, and people are going to think it's the rapture, or people are going to think that it's some big event, but it's going to be orchestrated the whole time. And they were going to use aliens and stuff to make the public be in fear, like that this invasion was imminent. And so like after hearing about that in the pandemic, and then, you know, you see these drone shows and the you know how like on New Year they do these drone shows, and people were saying like this somehow was connected, and there would be like this holographic Messiah, and it's crazy. Like y'all gotta look it up. It's a lot of different components in it, but it all relates. Pastor Darby might have preached about it, I don't know, but look up Project Bluebeam. So then you remember back in like November, the 3-Eye Atlas was a thing. And then the space shuttle, like how the women win, and people were like, oh, this is fake. And your hollow earth, your flat earth, all these different theories, like all of this stuff is, you know, being popularized again. And the timing is just crazy when we see these meteors, and it's a lot. But I thought that this story was interesting. I'm definitely loosely following it. Like, I'm not super invested, but I got a little more invested today when I saw that Breaking Points did this story. And see, that's why, y'all, I don't stress, I don't trip when I have to re-record a show. Like I had recorded this episode a whole hour and 40 minutes and lost it all. But I'm like, I know by the time I get ready to record again, when I had that moment, it's going to be some developments in these stories that, you know, I can just go ahead and include. And so that was one of them, that now there's this link between these other scientists. So the link to those videos are in the description box. We just got 2 more stories until we go to our deep dive. If I did not mention, our deep dive is about Chilli from TLC. I'm not sure if y'all have seen that she's being criticized and being accused of being MAGA. Being a Trump supporter. So that's what we're going to get into, is our like deep dive main topic of the show. But before we get there, we just got 2 more topics. This is a long one, y'all. I had to add to it. But this next story, oh my goodness, when I saw this news, my mouth was on the floor when I saw this. I've never talked about this story. I had plans to discuss Naziah Harris, but I never made the video. I was waiting for the case to go back to trial, and to see more happen with it before covered it. I had been following the case through a creator called Toot Uncensored. I believe it's Tootie or Toot Uncensored, but she's a Detroit native, if I'm not mistaken. And she was extremely invested and still is invested in the Naziah Harris case. So the history on this is Naziah was a 12-year-old young Black girl out of Detroit who went missing. She had been missing for a long period of time. By the time I learned about it, I think it was like almost a year. But she was missing, and it was believed that she was pregnant. So the story gained popularity online because a lot of creators became invested in it when the word started to get around the circumstances in it. Now, the circumstance was that Naziah was in a sexual relationship with a 40-plus-year-old man who was her auntie's baby daddy. Now, the auntie, Naziah was in the care of her grandmother as well as some of her siblings, and it was just a bunch of kids in the house. I believe the aunt lived there too. The aunt had several kids with this man that was sleeping with Naziah. And that case disturbed me, y'all. When I tell y'all for days, I thought about that little girl. Like, I could not close my eyes without seeing her. Because when I watched that case and saw the conversations she was having with that man, knowing that her grandmother, her aunt, they knew this man was a sexual predator, a multiple offender, had molested and had sex and done horrible, unspeakable things with multiple children, including his own child. As young as the age of 4, these women allowed this man to be under the same roof to be around. They had allowed this man to take this child knowing that something was potentially going on with them too. That case sickened me. Oh my God, I cried. I prayed. Like, it was horrible. Like, the grooming involved. This little girl was talking to this man about sex and doing sexual things in ways I don't even talk to my husband, and I'm almost 40. It was truly disturbing. Every single adult in that little girl's life failed her, from the school, the house, her parents, her caregiver, her family. They completely and totally failed her. Y'all, that case is so horrific. Long story short, they believe that she was pregnant, like maybe as much as 5 months pregnant. The school had speculation she was falling out at the school in pain. One day she leaves school or somewhere, got picked up, never to be seen again. Grandma acting like she don't know what's going on. They know this man had something to do with it. He would not confess, and her body had never been found. It still to this day hadn't been found. Anyway, it's a lot going on with that case. The perpetrator, Jarvis Butts, was found dead in his prison cell. And when that news hit my phone, I was like, OMG, because I wanted to see this man live his life out in jail. I wanted to hear more details so that there could be some type of justice and conclusion to this case. But let's get into this video by Click on Detroit, where they talk about it, and I'm going to finish up with my thoughts.
Top story at 5. Jarvis Butts, the man convicted for the murder of 13-year-old Naziah Harris and a string of other sexual assaults, was found dead this morning inside his prison cell.
That's right. It happened at the Charles Egler Reception and Guidance Center over in Jackson County. Jay Scott Smith live on the story for us this evening. Jay, he'd only been there for just a few days.
Yeah, he hadn't even been there 2 weeks, Karen. Good evening, everybody. And word that this had happened, it started kind of circulating on social media around the city earlier today. We did end up getting it confirmed, and it just adds another layer to just this tragic situation.
The last time we saw Jarvis Butts was 2 weeks ago, as he sat quietly in a green jumpsuit with a mask covering his face. As women and girls spoke of the impact, the 43-year-old child predator had on their lives.
It has been 2 years and 2 months.
And her fake, this is Naziah's grandma with her fake, and she oh, I got so much to say about that lady, and ain't none of it nice.
Since I report Naziah missing, I want.
She crying about reporting Naziah missing. She didn't even immediately report the child missing. If you ask me, she ought to be behind bars herself.
You know that my life will never be the same. I had to remind myself that my niece Naziah isn't coming back. I hope the victim and my niece and nephew can heal.
14 days later, that man was found dead in a cell, likely by suicide, at the Charles Egler Reception and Guidance Center in Jackson.
So he was found dead in his prison cell by a reported suicide. Of course, people are not buying it. Folks feel like, oh, they got to him. They got him. They knew he wasn't gonna last in there. They got him. But some people believe he took the coward's way out and committed suicide. I just seeing that story had me feeling some type of way, simply because I've been following it, and it was just kind of unreal that this man that we've been watching, I watched his trial. I feel like I know things about him from the details with the text messages and his history and all the people that have made content about it. And just to see that he was here in the living and now he's gone. A lot of folks are rejoicing. They are happy about it. And, you know, it's just one of those situations where it's no way to be happy about it. For me, like, Naziah's body still hasn't been found. We know that eternal punishment is real. Like he got his. He woke up and faced his judgment. Maybe not the final judgment, but I'm sure it wasn't pretty that the end of his life. But to me, that's not necessarily justice. But not only that, because of his actions and who he was, I feel like his family, Naziah's family, the children, the everybody is forever changed from this. They're still like the kids that lived in the home, Naziah's siblings. Like there's so much damage that's just over that whole situation, the family, the kids, the adults, that nothing. Only God can help them. Like I just, it's so horrific. And then at the same time, I believe some of his other children, like they didn't have a negative experience with him. And the sister, she obviously loved her brother, but she was hurt by his actions. So they're hurt by his death. And the fact that he was suicide, it's just no winners here. Nobody won in this. And it's just sad. Like that family is forever fractured and impacted in a very negative way because of his actions. So I don't know if that investigation is closed or if they will be looking to see maybe what happened, but we know for sure that he ain't here no more. And usually when it's ruled as a suicide, not much happens after that to determine otherwise. So, you know, some people feel like justice was served or he got what was coming to him, and other people just are not satisfied because they wanted to know at least where Naziah's body was. So unfortunate situation, just sad all around. And my prayers truly go out to everybody involved in this. You know, now that Jarvis is gone, people have to live with their guilt. Whoever did this to him and created this monster, whoever knew the things that he was involved in and didn't step in, didn't protect the kids around him, the people that was cool with him and knew what he was doing, because they, in my opinion, like y'all got, I'm sure it's a little guilty on your conscience. Sad story. Now, my next topic, I don't think I'm going to go into it. I'm already at an hour and 42 minutes. And I also did not include any videos or any type of visuals for this, but I was going to talk about the rap girls and the pregnancy, and people are joking about pregnancy packs and people are speculating on this. I may revisit this topic. I don't know, because I was a baby mama myself. My husband and I were not married when we had our first 2 kids. We did not get married till after our second child was born. I think he was 1 before we got married. We always knew we were going to get married, but we had them kids first. I knew better, but you live and you learn. So I don't judge the rap girls, but I might revisit it. I don't know. Y'all let me know if you're watching this full video and you think I should revisit the topics of the rap girls being pregnant and the pregnancy speculations. Lotto being the pregnant one, Glorilla being the one people are speculating about. Y'all let me know in the comments. If y'all want me to talk about it, I will. But we're going to take a short break right here. I need to refill my water. Shout out to Sipsy Good Tea, downtown Jackson. I got this cute little glass. I love my glass. And I'm going to refill my water and get myself together so we can get into this last topic and close this thing out. So you all enjoy the break and I'll be right back. Hey y'all, it's Jessica and I co-own a candle and lifestyle brand and I really, really want you to know about it. Lofton Co is a small batch brand handcrafted in Jackson, Mississippi, offering candles, bath products, home essentials that are all made with quality ingredients and scents that are actually intentional. We do not mass produce. Every product is made in a small batch because the details really do matter to us. And since you're part of my YouTube family, use the code Jessica for 15% off your first order. All right, we are back. If you have not already, please like this video, leave me a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss my future updates. We're in the main story. Actually surprised I talked about the military one as much as I did, but this one is interesting. I got a lot to say about this. It is coming from Midas Touch. If y'all don't know already, Chilli from TLC is in hot water. A lot of people are trying to cancel Chilli because of her apparent ties to the Republican Party and MAGA after it was revealed by Midas Touch, which is a white platform, just putting it out there, that she had made multiple donations to Republicans who are considered to be MAGA, Make America Great Again Republicans, Trump fans. You know what MAGA is. So we're going to read this article. It actually dropped on the 28th. So this has been going on for a couple of days now. I wasn't really thinking too much about it because I'm like, I'm not surprised she, talked to a white man, but no shade to the interracial couples out there, but in my experience, 4 out of 5 of the interracial couples that I know all had the same similarities, and I'm gonna just leave it there on both sides, Republican and Democrat, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyway, let's get into the article. It says, this is an exclusive. TLC's Chilli donated to Trump. FEC records reveal the singer, known for Waterfalls and No Scrubs, made multiple donations to MAGA Republicans. According to FEC records uncovered by Midas Touch, one member of TLC apparently went from I don't want no scrubs to actually donating to them. See, this is white platform. Federal political donation records from a Rosonda Thomas of Stone Mountain, Georgia, an address publicly associated with TLC vocalist Chilli, shows contributions to MAGA Republicans. The records show money being given during the 2024 election cycle to Trump's political action committees, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which seeks to help the GOP in control of Congress, and Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. In total, Chilli's contributions captured in these filings amount to just under 900, with nearly 800 going to Trump, 63 going to the NRSC, and $7 going to Ted Cruz. Now, y'all see, this woman is being dragged, mostly by her own people, dragged online for contributing under $900. This is what white platforms do to black people. Like, of all the white folks that do this, y'all want to focus on the black woman who didn't even give $1,000. And what she did not donate it directly to Trump, but it is donated to the Political Action Committee. They have them on the Democrat side and on the Republican side. So Trump got the majority of the money, $800, but the money was distributed among the three. So they have the source, all of that. It was a non-qualified political action committee out of Virginia. So it says the singer recently drew attention online after screenshots circulating showing that she allegedly reposted a debunked conspiracy about Michelle Obama, where it says Michelle Obama registered to vote as a man in 1994, according to Illinois State Board of Elections. Y'all know that this whole rumor about Michelle Obama possibly being a man, these conspiracy theories, other people try to pull out these photos. People say that Obama is really a member of the LGBT community. There's a lot of like talk around it. So apparently she allegedly reposted it. Now, I didn't know that your repost, I guess they're saying she screenshot it and posted it, because your reposts on Instagram don't show like this. But yeah. Her bio says she's a follower of Christ Jesus. SDA is that Seventh-day Adventist. I don't know all the religious groups. But anyway, it says she drew attention after she allegedly reposted that. According to your web, Chilli reshared an Instagram post that promoted a false claim that the former First Lady is a transgender and was registered to vote as a man in Illinois in 1994. The post, which no longer appears on, why is it saying on the Chilli's page? Chilli is the woman. Why is it saying on the Chilli's page? And see, like, I'm irritated by this story anyway. I'm so irritated by it because of the backlash that she's receiving. And I just don't like when these white publications, like, they try to turn the public against these black figures. They don't focus on their own people and the dirt that they own people do and the things that they own people do behind closed doors. They like to make these sensational stories about black folks. I don't like it. So I'm totally annoyed by this article. And y'all ain't even writing it right. You're not even editing it and changing it. Like, y'all were so ready to get this little story out, this little tea, that you put out a story that has errors. But the post, which is no longer on her page, sparked fan speculation about her political leanings. The post itself is still up on the original account, which also shares flat earth, 9/11, lizard people, weather manipulation, medical, and other conspiracy theories. So let's get something straight. Weather manipulation is not a conspiracy theory. It is real. It is not a conspiracy theory. Weather manipulation is real. So medical, I'm sure that's talking about the pandemic and vaccines and all of that. Flat earth, feel how you feel about that. 9/11, there are a lot of holes in that story. Not to mention the Epstein files and their little painting of Bush. Some followers wonder whether the waterfall singer was now creeping into MAGA political waters. Celebrity entertainers often stay away from politics publicly. Maybe her account was hacked. I don't know. I don't follow Chilli. Hadn't been on Instagram. I did not see this. But not too long ago, people loved Chilli because she was dating a white guy. And the women who hate black men, the black women who hate black men, was like giving her all these praises for dating these white guys. So now they hate her. You see how they work? That's why, like I said, you can't care about the opinions of men because, baby, they will switch up on you. So now she's on the receiving end of the hate after people loved her for her relationship. She was just in the news. Continuing on with the article, according to FEC records, Chilli's donations were all made in 2024, financially supporting Trump as he attempted to make a political comeback after his attempt to overturn the 2020 election. So they're just showing people that she's following. Byron Donalds, who's a black conservative. Let's see, Bryson Gray. I don't know who that is. Joy Villa. I don't know who that is. Now they're doing this cheesy. Now what about her friends? Chilli also follows pro-Trump influencers known for posting MAGA content in Florida, Representative Byron Donalds. She follows, I guess they looking at her Twitter. Not just her Instagram, they looking at her Twitter, her ex. It says, as far as other TLC members go in 2028, T-Boz Watkins joined the progressive organization Healthcare Voter, sharing her story about managing sickle cell and advocating for protecting the Affordable Care Act. Then it mentions Lisa Left Eye Lopez, who died in a car accident in 2002. So they basically revealed they found this little tea and trying to, put Chilli out there about her political leanings. And let's look into some of the backlash before I go into it. Let's look at a black let's see what Jamel Hill on the griot, Lord. It take Jason Black to talk about things. Let's see what let's see what Jamel Hill is saying. She ain't gonna never miss the opportunity to try to be relevant. I'm gonna refresh it so we can catch it from the top.
I got bad news for you. What you should have done before this tour came out, you should have just deleted social media and just started over.
Okay, so she is part of a tour, I believe, with En Vogue, TLC, En Vogue, and I think Salt and Pepper, they're about to go on a tour. So this is conveniently coming out during the time where she's about to be touring, and this could potentially affect ticket sales. So Jamel Hill is saying you should have deleted your social media. Why? If that's who she supports, why she got to delete it? But anyway, let's keep going.
Because none of your support does not align with your business at all. It's counter to that. It's the thing that's going to, frankly, sink this tour. The core and the base of who will definitely be going to see TLC concerts in the present day, the core and the base are Black women. And what is the stat that we know about Black women and Donald Trump? 92% of Black women voters voted against Donald Trump.
So because Chilli, they're saying because she supports Donald Trump or supports Republicans, MAGA Republicans, her audience that listens to her music doesn't. So now it's going to affect her ticket sales. So y'all don't go see artists who have different political viewpoints. Do you really know the artists' political viewpoints? Now this is why I see why the celebrities stop doing the interviews, because everything they do and say gets twisted. Let's look at some of the what people are saying. Well, let me finish. Let's finish.
Immediately, messed up the church's money with your core fans. The other part that we know is that Donald Trump now has the lowest approval rating of his entire presidency. Dude in the 30s somewhere. That means over 62% of the people do not support this man. That's how many people disapprove of him. He is underwater in virtually every category. Economy.
I'm still trying to figure out why. What does that have to do with her as a musician and her performance? Donald Trump's approval rating. Like, I don't think that that's relevant here.
Immigration, everything. You aligning yourself with not only a racist and a bigot, but a loser.
Did she align herself with him, or is it that that's just what she supports? She didn't make this public. If she follows these accounts, so what? People can follow who they want to follow. Maybe she's following to see what they're doing. And that's another thing. Like, when it comes to that, I follow people all the time. I follow Candace Owens. I don't even agree with maybe 70% of what Candace Owens says and does, but she's speaking on certain topics. She covers news that a lot of the creators that I watch doesn't cover, that I am interested in. And I like her production. I think that she has a great production team, and I like the way that they manage her brand. So am I not supposed to follow her because other people disagree with her and her politics? Does me following her to see what she has to say mean I agree with her politics, or does it mean that I'm interested in hearing what she has to say because we disagree? So I don't understand how her following Donald Trump, her contributing to this PAC, not Donald Trump directly, her contributing to the PAC, I don't see why that is such a big freaking deal. They are blowing this totally out of proportion. And this is the thing. When you take all sides of the argument, you become like a white supremacist. White supremacists take every side of the argument. So you can't say protect black women and we love black women, just not the ones that disagree with us politically. Not them. Don't protect them. We actually don't care what happens with them. We can counsel them because they don't agree with it. Like, that's a cult. How are you any better than the other side?
That people don't like.
Like, people don't like you, Jamel Hill. Like, she supports someone politically that a lot of people don't like. Okay, Jamel Hill, you support people politically that other people don't like. Like, I just don't see the big deal.
And so you cannot be surprised that there has been this stunning reaction to what you have done.
I do think that she can be surprised to the reaction because it is her personal opinion, her personal rights, her personal choice. What does it have to do with the music? So now are y'all gonna not play TLC, or y'all gonna skip Chilli's part because she contributed to Republicans? Are y'all that, like, politics control you that much? So let's look at some of the comments on this Griot post. It says, okay, this is about the tour. Yeah, I wish that the Breakfast Club had the same type of insight. All they did was they made excuses for Chilli and said, y'all, it was only 900. Calm down. Are we going to write her off just for less than 1,000? Yes, we are. 100. Yes. They don't even get it. The money wasn't even the main issue. What's the main issue? And for the record, Breakfast Club is more than 900. She lied. The documents that I just saw said less than 900. She also said all lives matter when we know that black lives are the ones. Yes, I saw that quote. So she did say all lives matter, which that's not new. That's old. So y'all liked her again when she was on the tour about her relationship. But now because you know what she supports politically, you hate her. So some of T-Boz was always my favorite. Anyway, I'm confused. Didn't she say it was a mistake and that she doesn't support anything? 92% went on. Y'all get them refunds. The very people she is aligned to are probably the very people exposed her. We're not going to the concert. Y'all are so lame, bro. This is why Democrats lose. This is my thing. Republicans are trolls. Democrats are bullies. They are two wings on the same bird. And when you think they are different, you are sadly mistaken for thinking they anything different. History shows us otherwise. Current day shows us otherwise. They are the same. None of your support align with your business at all. The left woke wing is crazy, so much hate. And yes, it's still legal to have another opinion. And it's still legal to not support who we want based on their opinions. Okay, you're right, it is, but you're crazy because nobody's ever going to always agree with you on everything. Be careful responding to bots. They're all in here trying to stir shit up. Yes, we hate you, MAGAs. We hate PDLF supporters. Y'all, never mind. Y'all do know the allegations that's out about the Democrats that were part of that. Biden. I don't know if Biden came up in the Epstein files, but look up the diary in Biden. His own son called him a pedophile. Y'all forgot that? It's not just on the Republican side. Give the woman a break. She said she made a mistake. Y'all are such haters. We love you, Chilli. And they think people would throw coins at their attempts to make a jukebox musical after these. Chilli wasn't the only one. Don't go to any of their shows. Let their base go. No need in trying to convince. Like, y'all are this. I don't like this. So Chilli did make a response. Let's look at her response. Well, before we get to the response, this is the thing. Politics has become a cult on both sides. You will never see me say Democrats are good and Republicans are bad. You will never hear me say Republicans are good and Democrats are bad. I think they are all bad. Look at the state of America. Y'all are arguing with each other over a party when the world is looking at us like, what's happening in America? is becoming a third world country. Y'all think that that's a Republican thing? You think that the Democrats hasn't contributed to that? Before Donald Trump was in office, they were in power. They were just in power with Biden for a term. Like this is not the things that we're dealing with now. It is not all Republicans' fault, and this is why the Black community gets mocked. This is why people don't respect the Black community and their opinions. We become the laughing stock because our own people, we have no sense of tribalism unless it's something negative. You know, like you see people gang up on folks for having a different opinion about politics. That is so messed up. And then y'all have these relationships with these celebrities. Malcolm X been told you don't trust these entertainers on any side. But you have these relationships with them like you're believing in them to be your saviors or be your moral compass. And when you find out that they don't meet your expectations, then you butt hurt when you shouldn't have been looking up to them anyway. But even still, she has a right to support who she wants to support politically. It should never go this far. And it wasn't like this. I'm telling you, it was not like this till Donald Trump ran the first time. Now you see it happening and it does happen more on the Democrat side. People are quicker to cancel for someone having a different opinion. That is a cult. The person that doesn't believe what you believe, even though you have liked them all up until this point, when you hear that one thing that they have different politics, you completely toss them out. That is cultish behavior. So she made a statement on Instagram about this whole situation. And here is what she had to say. I want to be clear. I am not MAGA and do not support any of the many policies that are causing great harm to the American people. I made a mistake too many make. I did not read the fine print. I thought I was supporting causes against human trafficking and for veterans, two things I care deeply about, as my dad is a veteran and everyone knows I love children. I have learned a valuable lesson and ask for grace as I navigate this. Okay, this is sincere. She is basically saying, I'm not a MAGA Republican, and a lot of the stuff that is going on, I do not support that. And it's causing harm to the American people. I don't support those things. I made a mistake. I gave a donation to a cause, but that cause apparently was being sponsored or whatever by the Political Action Committee. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you go to certain events or when you're signing up for mailing lists, when you are making donations, you do need to read the fine print because, and I wouldn't even say read the fine print, I would say follow the money. Because a lot of these initiatives are being funded by organizations that are being funded by political action committees. And it's not always apparent at face value. So that is what basically is what I'm thinking happened with her. She thought that she was supporting a cause against human trafficking and for veterans. We don't know what she saw that led her to make the donation. It could have been something online. It could have been a pamphlet. Who knows? But whatever it was that she made the donation for, she's saying that this was tied to a cause that I support. And we know traditionally Republicans do, they tend to be patriotic. So it could have been something, like she said, dealing with veterans that she supported. And so she's basically saying, I have learned my lesson. And I need some grace as I navigate this. Y'all are coming for me online. People canceling me. Everybody talking about me. And I made a mistake. So she put this statement out. Let's see what people are saying. She has over 14,000 comments. OMG. Let's look at these comments. How do I see them? How do I see the comments? I don't see the comments. And I just had to like her post because dang, I would hate to be her. So it says, it's funny how MAGA is in here, these comments supporting you. I hope they buy your tickets to your tour. Chunk the deuces, but they won't. And these are two Black women. This is Mercedes Gold, Steph Marshall. Oh, I'm sorry. I ain't trying to dox nobody, but you see it there. These are Black women saying this. I always love you, but you donated to him in 2024. The fine print was in bold. We don't know what she donated. We don't know. She like she said, she thought she was supporting causes. And maybe it was an envelope that said the cause, but the cause was being pushed by the political action committee, which was tied to that party. She's saying she didn't see it. How y'all gonna tell these ladies what she saw? She is still following MAGA content supporters and the guy who pretended to be trans to make a mockery of trans women. Clock it. Please explain you following Tommy Lauren, Don Jr., Newsmax, Terrence K. Williams, and Byron Donalds. Why can't she follow who she wants? Somebody said, why and to who? Why does she need to explain anything to you all of people? Get people that you actually know to explain themselves to you, not a stranger. And who cares if she is? I don't hate on people depending on who they support or follow. The fact she had to come out and explain this was disappointing. I agree with that. Why does she need to explain who she follows? This was shocking and isn't the first time you've caused controversy. I feel sorry for T-Boz and Left Eye's legacy. There's no room for this behavior. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so y'all see, basically what I'm saying here is politics has become a cult. Maybe it always has been a cult. And I'm saying this as somebody who was Democrat down. I went to the Obama rallies. I volunteered. Like, I'm saying that as someone who was involved in politics, who has always had an interest in politics, but my eyes were opened 2019 and beyond. And you're not ever going to hear me pick a side. I'm not, because they are the same. They are not two different sides. And you hear that a lot, the lesser of two evils. There is no such thing. And you even hear, like, for me, as somebody who is a spiritual person, who is a parent, who thinks about the long game, there are policies on the Republican side and the Democrat side that I don't vibe with. And ain't nobody gonna make me feel bad for that. And y'all gotta stop being bullies. You hate the Republicans and they're trolling and them and the stupid stuff that they do, the coonest stuff that the Black conservatives do, that they need to stop. But on the same hand, y'all are bullying this woman, coming for her exercising her right. But y'all want people to respect your rights. People that don't agree with you, they got to. You want your body, your choice. Why this woman can't choose who she wants to support? Like, y'all, it's the cultish. It's the cult behavior, the hive mind, the group think. I don't like it. And nobody should be attacked for what they believe politically, who they support. That is that woman's money. And y'all are so quick to turn on people. That's why I had to get over all of my thoughts about coming back to content creation, doing commentary, people seeing my videos, people disagreeing with me. You really cannot be in the public, do anything anymore without being under the microscope. People will clown you. They'll love you one day, hate you the next day. And you really just cannot care. Like, this situation should show you how much you should not care. And I was talking to my husband yesterday about this because he and I filmed a video, and I told him, I was like, I love how I was in that video. That's me. That's me. I've never been hurt on camera. Like, I've always been a polished version of myself. I've always, wanted to say the right things and do things right and be politically correct and do that. And you will tie yourself in knots trying to follow all the rules that society that has set that really mean nothing. And you cannot keep up with the facade. The only thing you can be without any anxiety, without any, you gotta be you. You gotta be you. And it just showed me it is not worth it to try to present a version of you to the world, because they will love you or hate you depending on which way the wind blows in the moment you do something that they disagree with. And you cannot live your life worried about that. You may as well be you. That way you can stand on business if you find yourself in the middle of some controversy. At least you was always being you, and you don't have to sneak and hide and, not be who you really are just to get public love, when they would hate you if they found out you donated something by mistake. The point I'm making is, do you, be you. Whatever you feel good with doing, whatever you feel at peace doing, you might as well do it, because the public will turn on you in a minute. This story is crazy. Am I the biggest Chilli fan? I don't know nothing about this woman. Like, I like TLC music from back in the day. I wasn't planning on going on their tour. I don't want to really see them like that, but it ain't because of nothing she did or said politically. It's because I don't want to go. Why would you want to go to something and then let a political view change that? Now, it's one thing if it was going to be a rally at the concert or she's making these videos of her speaking, but she has a right to support who she wants to support. And she doesn't owe anybody any explanation. And if you're bothered by that, you might need to check yourself. That's not normal for you to cancel someone because they have a difference of opinion. Everybody likes what they like for their reasons. That's like me saying, I like to drink Coca-Cola, and because you like Dr. Pepper, I just can't come to your house no more. I don't ever want to come into contact with no Dr. Pepper because I drink Coke. And I just can't. I can't be around nobody that drink Dr. Pepper. Like, what? I can't eat at your house because I don't know what else you got over here because you got Dr. Pepper. That's crazy. Y'all get a fucking grip. Get a grip. You arguing with each other over MAGA when the Democrats doing the same thing in a different way, in a different font. Come on, stop it. Please stop. That really done pissed me off. But that's really all I got for y'all today. It's been over 2 hours. I try to keep this to an hour and 45 at the absolute max, and I went over. I totally went over. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, sign up for Patreon, whether you get a free membership or a paid, just go sign up because this full show, full Tell Me More episodes are going to be on Patreon only. And then if you're a member, you get to join me. Don't you want to come on and talk with me and join in this panel discussion that I'm planning? I need you over there on Patreon. That's all I got, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace.